I would love to do that, but like, I want to have like the number one Irish bar in America, not in Boston.
Today on the podcast, I have the pleasure of chatting to an Irishman, Oran McGonagle. He's from Donegal and he now owns one of the most successful and well-known restaurant groups in Boston. If you haven't already done so, click the subscribe button to get brand new content every single week directly to your feed. Oran McGonagle, thanks a million for joining me, being on the podcast from... I'm just going to go straight into it because we have loads of questions for you. From Donegal to Boston, owning your own restaurant, pub in Boston. I mean, that sounds about as close to the American dream as I've ever heard.
Yeah, it pretty much was. That's how it happened. I left home after university and came to America. I'd done a little stint in like an aquarium here, working dishes and things like that in the kitchen, and then I got an opportunity to bartend in a pretty well-known Irish bar here called the Banshee, big sports bar in Boston. And from there, I just moved on up. Then I moved into the city and became a partner in a company here, and have my own places now as well.
Very good. And so let's get into that. Your background. Talk to me about kind of your background. It's not in the chefing industry, right?
No, it's not. No, I did work in kitchens, as I say. When I first came to the States, I actually came here DJing, and I was a DJ at home in the university and things. And then I worked for the Students' Union in the University of Ulster. And then when I graduated, I decided to take a little trip here. It was right in 2008 when the recession hit, so there wasn't much opportunities for graduates. So I came here, worked, DJ'd, done a bit of dishwashing, as I said, and then got the opportunity to bartend. And when I got into that, I had bartended at home previously, so I pretty much was very comfortable with dealing with public and things like that there. So I kind of fitted straight in here, and the whole concept here is like tip based. So there's actually quite a lot of money to be made in bartending in America. So basically, when I got into that, I started saving money, and my whole idea was that I'm going to try and open my own place. I love the idea of creating events and concerts and bands and DJs and all this kind of stuff. So I wanted to get into that whole like event industry, but with the bar restaurant being the basis for doing that.
You started working with a company called East Coast Tavern Group. Can you kind of talk to me how that came about and where it led, how it's gone like this?
Yeah, so I'm the director of East Coast Tavern Group. So we have 5 bars and restaurants here in Boston. I met them guys it's about 8 years ago now, and they had 2 places at that time. And I kind of came in with this idea that I wanted to create my own concepts and open restaurants. So they backed me on that. Like they backed me straight away on different concepts. So we've opened now another 3 since then. And I've also opened my own bar separate to this company as a little like offshoot of it. And yeah, it's just been a pretty whirlwind now. In all, I've opened 7 restaurants in the last maybe 5 years. Not all successful now. That's the other side of it. Not all successful. 2 didn't work for us. 5 are doing extremely well. Obviously, right now it's a bit tough, but
yeah, very good. And we'll get into that because I that's an area I definitely want to chat to you about. That it hasn't all been successful, which I think is very important. But just on where was I going with that? Sorry. Thank God I can edit this, so it's grand. On that point, so 7 restaurants. I mean, I said right from the beginning about the American dream. Could you have done this in Ireland, or is there actually some truth to that that you had to go to Boston to do all this?
I don't think I could have done it in Ireland. No, I think Ireland, and I don't mean to be. There is opportunity there. Absolutely, there is opportunity. I think it's very hard to open your own restaurant in Ireland, like money wise. And I think a lot of people who own them are either in the business through their family or they've had backers to back them with good concepts. But I don't think I could be part of 7 restaurants in Ireland. Basically, I don't think that there's definitely an American dream, 100%. I've said that like for years in interviews and different things. I got a real good opportunity, really quick, huge faith put in my ideas from the start, and they've allowed me as well to, I think, be a little bit more successful than I would have been in Ireland because of the environment I'm in. People in America eat and drink out like honestly about 70% of the week.
Wow.
Like, and you think about that in terms of Ireland, where you might have a bar does the big Friday, Saturday night, and then the rest of the week they struggle.
Yeah, for sure.
See, we have the other side of that. We have basically 7 nights a week where we can make quite a good living out of it and do a lot of sales and support a lot of people through that.
Yeah, very good. And talk me through that. Before we go into kind of you were saying there you have your own independent place as well on the side, the cottage. But talk me through the process of, like, you open up restaurants. Talk me through that process. Like what's involved, I suppose, when you open up a new venture. What's the kind of criteria you look for, like whether it be location, size? How does that work, like?
So where we're at now is we our concepts are kind of around like 10 to 12,000 square feet, so it's quite big. We hold about 400 or 500 people in our locations, each place, and we would look for that size, that volume, because all our metrics are based on them volumes, and that's what we know. We know our cost at that volume, we know our food costs, labor costs, all that kind of stuff. So we would look for that. Now, like the last one we opened a big Mexican restaurant in Boston called the Sunset Cantina. So that is located right outside of Boston University, which is obviously a famous university throughout the world. And we're kind of on their campus with that Mexican style theme of tacos, nachos, margaritas. So we already had a base there that we felt was like it was basically perfect for that concept.
Yeah.
So once we spoke to BU, we started talking about leases on the buildings, and that's something that we are very, very student on. Like, we look at that lease, we do all them cost projections before, and we've never went into a lease where we weren't comfortable with it. And that's something that happens here a lot, that especially now that people are finding out their leases are crazy high. They're just crazy high. No, all you're doing is opening a business to pay your landlord. And it's something that a lot of restaurants fail on. They basically have this idea, well, I'm going to do $250,000 a week in sales. I can afford to give the landlord 30,000 a week. Like, it doesn't work like that. Your whole, it's great to have that ambition, and hopefully you will do them sales, but your bottom line has to be 100% right from the start, and you got to have a real good partnership with your landlords. That's a key to going into any concept for us.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you said you go into 10,000 square feet units, which is obviously very large. Like it's a big premises. Has that, and you said a couple of hundred people. Has that strategy, or will that strategy change going forward post COVID?
Well, I actually think we're in a better place now for COVID because we have so much room now to distance people. So in Boston now, they've done restrictions on how many people you can bring into a location. So say, for instance, we have a place with 400 people. I can still let 200 people in there rather comfortably at the worst restrictions that COVID can give us. So we still have a viable business right there, right now. We go, as I said, why we go for that is because we've realized over the years that no matter what size of a restaurant you have, all the same issues and problems arise. You might as well have a restaurant that has a capacity of 400 and the chance to make maybe 200,000 a week in sales, rather than have a restaurant that'll do 50,000 a week in sales, and all the same issues will arise with you. Like, things will break, things won't work, staff will have issues, food and complaints and all that stuff. So we see the risk as being like, we might as well go for the big one if we're going to do it.
Very good, yeah. And Just want to pick up on a point there you mentioned about, you come up with new concepts and for your restaurants. So I do a lot of work with new startups and kind of concept creation and stuff like that. And one thing that I often, and I'd love to get your opinion and insight into this, is one thing I'd often say is that, I find that concept, certainly in a place like Galway, concept is kind of driven and determined by the location. So, I would often we'd look at locations or wherever that may be, and the concept would be derived from that location depending on where it is.
Absolutely.
Would you work similar to that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have American bistros. I have high end like speakeasy style bars. I have Mexican restaurants, Irish pubs. I had previous barbecue restaurants. So you think again that cantina style. So that cantina is geared towards like nachos, tacos, quesadillas, margaritas. That student atmosphere. Like we would never have put like a higher end concept into that space, because exactly what you're saying. That location told us this needs to be really cool, really like Instagram friendly, really quick food, good drinks for that kind of like, you're talking like 18 up to maybe 25, 26-year-old. That's where we went for. And it did hit, like it hit really well there. And, we still have people come in. We're right across the street from a huge concert venue. So like you think, so like the O2 in Dublin, let's say, we're the only place right across from that. The other side of that is when we looked at that, we were like, we need to do food that someone's going to come like an hour before a gig, and we have to be able to get it out within like 15 minutes, turn that table, get it done really quick. So the Mexican style allowed us to do that, because a lot of the Mexican style is actually pre-done and pre-ready to go. A lot of the meats and stuff are ready to go, that you just basically are doing a lot of melting of cheese, actually, to be honest with you, is what I find. There's a crazy amount of cheese is used in Mexican restaurants. And there's something there when you think about like going in there. I didn't take in the account the cost of cheese in a Mexican restaurant. And it's crazy what we spend on cheese. Honestly. Like, we put a pound of cheese on one plate of nachos. And they're little things like when you're in there, you're like, why are we not making more money on that nacho plate?
Yeah.
And it's like, because you have a pound of cheese on there, man.
Wow.
And then the avocados and all that stuff. Like, it's just, my head when I was going in there, you would think Mexican food would be like a pretty low food cost.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's actually it's up there with the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I'm actually, I'm doing some work at the moment with a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant that's looking to scale. So they have more than one location, and they're looking to scale more locations across Ireland. But yeah, I definitely know what you're saying about the margin is small, and cheese and avocados are crazy. We're actually looking at and I'm doing other work with someone else that looking at coming up with an alternative for avocado guacamole, using different products. Obviously it's a tricky one to do, because
I'll keep an eye on that then if that happens.
Yeah.
But what we ended up having to do is we ended up doing a contract pricing for avocado throughout all our restaurants. So I put them all together and basically went out and put it out to tender. Who wants to supply me avocados? This is what I can get you a week in sales in avocados. Yes. And then we managed to bring it down like quite a lot. And we do that with all our stuff, honestly. We do that with cheese and all as well.
Right. So. Yeah. I think this is really fascinating, Oran, and I think my listeners would really, a lot of them are restaurant owners, so they really find this interesting. So I'd love to chat to you a little bit, find out a little bit more about some of the other concepts you have and other restaurants.
Yeah, so we have Emmett's Irish Pub on Beacon Hill in Boston, which is #1 Irish bar in Boston. Like, it's just fantastic little like Victorian style pub. Next to that, we have a cocktail bar called Roxanne's, which is like a 1980s like Miami Instagram bar. It's all, the whole idea was we're going to create a bar where everywhere you're standing in it, the background is Instagram friendly. So that's it sounds weird, but it's unbelievably how it works. Like, it's all wallpaper, it's all textures, it's all really cool drinks, and tapas style food is what we're doing there. I have a place called Carrie Nation, which is a 1920s speakeasy bar and restaurant. So it's at the front, massive dining room, about 300 seats, and then out the back through a little secret hallway, there's a speakeasy that holds about 150 people, and very
Nice,
dark
cool.
and very cool. And that is named after the actual lady who would have been involved in the Prohibition in America. She would have fought for the Prohibition. Her name was Carrie Nation. So we named a bar after her then, just to kind of make her turn in her grave a little bit. I have a place called Scholars, which is an American bistro. It's like basically American style food, like your burgers, your mac and cheeses, all this kind of stuff. And then DJs on the weekend, pool tables, very cocktail friendly on the weekend. A lot of like 25 to 35-year-old young professional kind of crowd goes in there, after work crowd. And then the Cantina is our Mexican restaurant in Brookline. And then I have the Cottage, which is, I keep under this umbrella. I work the Cottage into all of my concepts. It's part of what we do. The owners of East Coast Tavern Group are very cool with that. They were all about me, like, expanding, doing something for myself. So they were amazing, now, honestly. And when I do like pricing deals with East Coast Tavern Group, I bring my Cottage into that as well, which has helped. You know, it's a smaller bar on the South Shore of Boston. It's a little local Irish pub, doing extremely well now. It's been a big hit. So it helps me with my margins that I have the power of East Coast Tavern Group there as well.
Yes, very good. And you mentioned something there. I'm almost embarrassed to ask this question, but you mentioned about Instagram. Like it's pretty important, right? Like Instagram and social media.
Well, I'll give you an example, right? So we created this Roxanne's place, and it's a very cool little bar, and it's basically booked out every night now, even during the pandemic. But about 3 weeks ago, we've been getting a lot of hits with Instagrammers and influencers and all these people, and we don't really get involved with them. Like sometimes you can get them in and they look for things for free. We don't really do that because we feel that they need to be in our location, because our locations is getting a lot of hits. But we had a girl from TikTok there about 2 weeks ago. She came in, created a little 30-second TikTok about the bar. She said it's like Boston's cutest cocktail bar. And then for 2 weeks after she put that up, it got like 150,000 views on her TikTok. And this girl's other TikToks were like 30,000. So it obviously hit, like it was a big hit. But then our open table reservation software just blew up, like 3 weeks solid, every night, completely booked. You know, and in that instant, that girl had never contacted us and never said she was coming in. And we never looked for nothing. So I ended up contacting her, and I said, listen, I've seen how your video has like basically it's done really well for us. And then I was like, I'd love you to come in. I'd love to actually, you know, buy you a drink and buy you something to eat, because you never asked us for nothing. You've actually helped our business extremely during a pandemic. And, you know, I wanted to kind of say, look, I am very thankful for that. Like you've obviously, it's worked really well for us. So that concept is, it could be like in 5 years, it could be dead. Like that's the thing about it. I might have to do something again. You know, it's just we had an older bar there called 6B Lounge, and it was dated. It was an old martini bar from like the Sex and the City kind of days, like people coming in after work drinking martinis, but it was dated out. And then we went with this concept. My manager, my GM in the restaurant is very visual. She's got really good taste in like design, and she came up with most of the concept herself. Like we never went to any professional outfit. We done it all ourselves. We came up with all the ideas ourselves, and mostly her. Now she needs to get the credit for that. We allow our GMs to kind of express themselves if they want, if they come up with good concepts, and we'll back them on it.
Deadly. And so on that point about concepts, I suppose, and not trying to steal any of your future ideas or nothing, but is there any, I suppose, how do I put it? Is there any restaurants or concepts even like across the world that you'd look at and you say, you know, I wish I had that, you know, I wish I had that concept, or I wish I owned that place. Like, is there anything you're kind of impressed by that you see?
Well, the big thing that we're going to try and do here is we have an Irish bar in Boston.
Yeah.
But it's a small, like Dublin style Irish bar.
Okay.
There's room for an Irish bar in Boston that's going to be like the Irish bar, the like number one, like we would call like Raglan Road and Disney World. Like
Yes.
this is going to take to all your Irish people now. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, why would do that's the pure cheesy Irish.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, we don't create Irish bars for Irish people anymore. We create Irish bars for American people.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And the American people's concept of an Irish bar is Irish dancing,
Yes. Very different.
bangers and mash, like
Yeah.
the like cheesy Irish bar that a lot of the Irish bars in Ireland now are doing, like amazing concept, amazing food, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Over here is still the cheesy Irish bar.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I want to create this big like live music venue Irish bar in the middle of Boston, with like a stage for Irish musicians that come out here. We can give them a platform. We can do like people having their dinner. Let's say at dinner time every evening, we'll have an Irish dancing show during dinner. Like this kind of stuff is all in my head, but I can see it being like uber successful, like crazy success, because they buy into all that.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's
So yeah,
fascinating.
that's where my head's going next. Like I would love to do that, but like I want to have like the number one Irish bar in America, not in Boston.
Wow. Okay. Your talk to me a little bit about that, Oran. Like, what would you say your like? What's going on in your head? What I mean by that is like what
My missus would ask me that a
lot. Would you say you're like operationally very good? Are you more system driven? Are you like, what sort of how would you phrase that?
I'm it's hard to say because you kind of sound like you're being big headed, but I would.
Yeah.
I find that I'm very good with people.
Okay.
Like
right.
I'm very comfortable in people and around people, and how's it going and how are you? And I love hospitality. Like my dad was a shopkeeper for years and years. That's what we grew up in. We grew up in with dealing with customers. So a lot of what he done, I keep going now. He had huge relationships with his customers, and I love that idea. Like I love having these big bars, but still have regular customers that I know everything about them. And what I would find with the Irish thing is that obviously I'm Irish, so that helps me a lot. My accent helps me a lot. Like so, when people come in, I have a lot of Irish staff that work for me, and that sells that whole concept, like that whole thing. Whenever someone sits down and a girl from Donegal says, "How's it going there? Hey, can I get you a beer there? Here, there's your food." All that kind of stuff. The Americans just are like, "Wow." They're like, "Wow, this is the real thing," because there is a lot of fake Irish places in America.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of bars that have an Irish flag outside it that wouldn't be Irish owned or Irish ran.
Yeah, and just to add to take on that point, and I hope I don't come across wrong now at all, but like you said, like fake Irish bars. So like your bar is not authentic, and correct me now if I'm wrong, but like you don't go for an authentic bar. So it seems almost like a conflict there, no? Like you're not authentic yet. You still have authenticity to it. Like,
well, you have to always remember that they're Irish bars in America.
Yeah.
Your customer base is always Americans, and some people do make that mistake. They create Irish bars for Irish people.
Yes. Okay.
But you're basically you're shortening your basically your worth there, because you want everyone to be able to come into your bar. But we've decided over the years that we got to concentrate on doing like food that Americans would eat, rather than doing like, looking at a menu from Ireland and trying to copy a menu from Ireland where Americans don't eat that food.
Yes.
We've decided to create these menus that are kind of balanced. They do have the Irish thing, and when I mean about authentic Irish, I mean like Irish owned, Irish people working in it, like Irish people driving the hospitality side of it, our way of doing hospitality. We're very much like, we're very forward people. Like, how's it going? Very confident. Like when you see people working in Irish bars, and you might go in the American bar sometime, like proper American bar, and they just wouldn't have that there buzz about them, to be like, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? Like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, very
So
good.
that's kind of where I mean by that. Like the fact that there's kind of fake Irish bars is there's people that see the opportunity. They just see an opportunity in owning an Irish bar in an Irish city, so they'll call it like O'Toole's Irish Bar, let's say,
Yes, yes,
where there's nothing. All it is stuff on the
yes,
wall, but there's no one working
yes,
there that has any background in Irish, and they wouldn't be able to show the GAA games and all this kind of stuff that we would try and do as
yes.
well for the Irish tourist or whoever comes over.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I completely get what you're saying there. So talk to me a little bit, Oran, about the Cottage Bar. Like, how's that going? How's that going for you? And what's the kind of
It's going good. It's going good. That would be my little baby. Like that's kind of the one that I was really like. I live in that area, and me and my friends, actually, there's four of us own that bar. So we're all mates. We all live in a town out in Weymouth in the South Shore of Boston, and we seen that there wasn't like a local for us,
Yes, okay.
and we decided then that, obviously with my background, the guys are in construction kind of side of things. We said that, you know what, let's try and do one ourselves. Like, so we bought a little place right beside a big hospital in Weymouth, and we basically just turned it into a place called the Cottage, and went at it with that real like old school like the kind of like market, like the old market kind of style Irish pubs in Ireland.
Yes, 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 yes.
And
For sure.
we went at that kind of concept, and got
Yes.
some really good staff involved with us, and got us a really good chef now who's pushing us forward.
I have to ask you this. You have. How do you manage like so many restaurants like spread in different parts of Boston? Like, just operationally, how do you do it? Like,
I have amazing staff, man. The
yes.
staff is
Okay.
key for me on everything. Like I have a GM in every restaurant. I have a head chef in every restaurant. So a lot of my role now is, once they're in place and our kind of like our systems are running, I'm
Yes.
overseeing them, but I'm not micromanaging them. Like I basically oversee them. I trust them with a lot of stuff that we do. I will bounce around the different locations. I try not to be in the office really at all.
Yeah.
I've maybe spent one full day in the office where I'll look at like all different pricing and costs for our group. But everything I do I do it as a group. So I'll do all
Okay.
my booze, all my food. I'll look at all them costs together, and then I'll meet my managers then once a week, or maybe even once a month sometimes, if things are going good, and we'll just go over some stuff. But we just keep communicating with each other on different things that are going wrong, things that are going right, and it's big now. The staff is a huge part of everything. Like every success is down to like people who are working on the ground in restaurants.
Yeah. For sure. And is that an area that you find? Because I know here in Ireland, it's a challenge. From talking to lots of business owners, it's a challenge to get the right people. And definitely with even with COVID now, with the pandemic payment that people are on, and it's quite difficult now at the moment.
Yeah,
Especially, is that something that you find as well, or?
yeah, it was pretty much the same as that. We had people on unemployment here that didn't want to come back to work when we were trying to
Yes.
get them
Yeah.
back to work, because the same way at home, the way the unemployment worked is they actually were kind of making out better on unemployment than they were working for us, and
Wow.
we pay pretty good wages too. So it was a weird one, but we managed to get people back now. But finding staff is always hard, man. It's always hard because you don't really know what you're getting until it's happening. Like until you're on, like say like people in the kitchen, like if you're trying to open a concept, you can only like stage them like a few times
Yeah.
until the real thing happens, and then the night of the real thing is when you go, oh, like
Yeah.
we're in trouble here. This
Yeah.
guy
Yeah. Yeah.
isn't. He's not what he's saying he could do isn't what he can do. He can't
Yes.
deal with us. So that's something I always find when opening restaurants is you don't really know until you're in it. Like until you're in the middle of it, how things are actually going. It's very hard to like practice to open a restaurant.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
sure you know that too. Like you've worked in kitchens where, open at night, you find out so much about people on open at night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I often kind of overstaff by about 10% when we open, just because you always kind of lose a couple of guys.
Yeah. They're just like, no way am I doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And not to go too somber, but go back to March for a minute, the beginning of March, or maybe a little bit later for you guys over there. Talk me through that process of going through what we're going through at the moment with COVID, and like what was going through your head back in March?
3 weeks and we'll be back. That's what the first thing was.
Yeah,
It was
positive.
what was it? Stop the curve or something? Was that what the line was back
Yes,
then?
yeah. 3 weeks, 2 weeks here in
Yeah.
Ireland,
So
and we'll be back up.
it was the day before St. Patrick's Day. We closed all
Yeah,
restaurants. I suppose I kind of thought, this is going to be sorted out. We're going to be all right. And then obviously, the more we got into it, the more serious it seemed to get. So then it was right. How are we going to protect our staff and our business? The big thing for us in our company is we wanted to keep our staff and we wanted to support them, and that's something we've done as a company. Now we've basically minimalized what we've been able to let go as a company. Now we have let go of some people, obviously, because just some concepts weren't open. But the likes of our core staff, full-time staff, we tried our best to keep them on, like our chefs, our managers, things like that there. And it's been pretty much, we're through it now. Like basically, I have 3 GMs working in one restaurant right now. They all have their own restaurants, but they're all working together in one
yeah,
restaurant right now just to keep everyone going. And 2 head chefs working in there. And I have another restaurant that has pretty much all their staff back working. And the cottage is all staff are back working. Um, yeah, look, I'm not going to say it was. It's been extremely hard year.
yeah,
We've especially with the main owners of East Coast Tavern Group have like they've got themselves into a bit of debt now, obviously over all this year, but
yes,
it's debt that they're willing to take on and obviously to drive us forward, and we'll be able to clear up some of that. And we've done some deals with our landlords to help us out over the next maybe 3 years, where we put up some of our rents to the back end of our leases and things like that. But going back to my point earlier about your relationship with landlords, it's key. Like this is why it's key now, is because we have personal relationships with our landlords where they know us and we're able to have conversations with them where they trust us in what we're doing, and they know they're going to see, they're going to see their money eventually. They just need to give us a little break at the minute.
yeah. And on that point, you might have already answered this one, but I'd love to get your opinion on. And I know it's probably a difficult question to answer, but like, look at you run multiple restaurants. What would you say is kind of, if you were to say, even one or two, kind of the most important elements that it takes to run a successful business? What would they be?
Staff,
Yeah. Okay.
honestly, man, like it's just they're so key to what you're doing. Like as I say, like we have an office here. We're amazing office on Beacon Hill in Boston, like a beautiful part of Boston. Looks over the whole city. But I always say to people, there's no office without them people on the ground working. The
Yes.
people in
Okay.
the kitchen, the cleaners, the vendors, the suppliers, like all these people are so key to what we do. But the likes of my front of house, my GMs, my head chefs, like they are everything that we're doing. Like they drive everything for us. They are there every day of the week. They're there working it. They're there making sure that what we try and put forward as a company is being trained to our new staff, is being shown to our new staff, and the standards are being kept. So like over the years, I've definitely found that, all my GMs are ex-servers, bartenders. So I've been able to hire from within regarding our company and how it's been
Yeah.
ran. And
Yeah.
most of them have, all 3 of my GMs have been with us now over 5 years. Like we don't have a big turnover regarding that side of management, and that's the kitchen and the front of house. We try our best to make sure that our employees are very happy and they know where we're going and they're progressing in the company. That there is, it's probably number one for me, actually, the staff, who we get in to run our businesses for us. And then secondly, I would imagine that the concept obviously is a big thing in what we're doing right now, because people are looking for new things all the time right now. They want the next best thing. They want to see cool food. They want to see, talk about the Instagram friendly food and drink and things like that there. So that concept obviously has to be good. If you're dated, I think you're going to be in trouble these days, because the younger drinker is looking for different things. They don't want the simple thing like where you just go in and sit at a bar and get something to eat. So and then you also have the ideas where now a lot of younger people are a lot more health conscious than they used to be. So some of them are choosing not to drink. I would reckon there's more people not drinking now than there ever was in that 18 to 21 background. So you have to create concepts that also suits them for coming out and having an enjoyable experience without having alcohol and things like that.
Wow, that's really interesting. And on that point, so I don't know what it's like over in your part of the world, but I'm very much focused on like consumer attention, and I've definitely seen the last couple of years, and I only see it going further. And I'd love to get your opinion on this. Like you said, it's a health focused trend, but also very much on sustainability as well, which is very much connected to it. And I think it's a very important element now to new concepts, which is consumers want to know where their food comes from, and they want to have healthy options, and they want to have eco-friendly stuff. Is that something that you would think has value, going forward in your restaurant?
It's something that we definitely have to do now. Even an example now is a lot of our concepts started doing a lot more to-go style things there recently.
Yes. Okay.
So we had to look at how we were going to do that there and still do it like kind of environmentally friendly.
Yes. Yeah.
So you look at like our packaging now is all like recycled, and then I've taken away straws in the bar, let's say. So you don't automatically get a straw anymore in all our businesses, which is something that we would have always done.
Yeah.
But over the last year or so, the whole like turtle straw, that whole thing, remember what happened there with the straw? That did create a thing. Like that created a thing with straws, and then people started looking about like, right, how do we? Is there straws there that are like, the paper straws? Now the paper straws are a great idea, but they don't really work.
No, they disintegrate halfway through, don't they?
So there's people here using like pasta and different things like that as a straw, and but we've decided we'll take them away unless the customer asks us for it. So you don't automatically get it, and that's something that we looked at environmentally side now. And the food side, we're doing a lot of like, obviously the cauliflower thing has been a big thing over here, and we're doing a lot of like cauliflower rice and cauliflower fried rice, and then cauliflower bites and all these different things and different concepts where you can get a burrito now in our Mexican restaurant with cauliflower rice instead of regular rice. So these kind of things have all coming into our menus where we're looking at that and realizing that people want the healthy choices now as well. And that's not just like people that are like, really health conscious. Like a lot of people for lunch now want to do something maybe a bit lighter, really quick salads, things like this here. So we do different things. We build your own salad bowls in restaurants. We have burrito bowls. We have the cauliflower bites, as I say, and it is coming more and more prevalent, isn't it? And regarding the drinking, then there's a lot more mocktails are going on our menus than we've ever done, and that's something that we've looked at as well. Like, how do we create an atmosphere for someone who doesn't want to drink? And you said, if you had said to me 10 years ago that I'm creating an atmosphere in a bar for someone who doesn't want to drink, I would have said you're wasting my time. Like,
yeah, wow, that's really insightful. And we're running out of time there, so I could honestly talk to you all day.
I hope I didn't blab on too much.
No, far from it. Honestly, I could listen to you. I could chat to you all day, and but let me just finish up on one final one. Actually, just as an aside, it just popped into my head, and feel free not to answer it. I can edit this part out, no bother. I'm just interested to see. Obviously, Mr. Trump has made way, and Biden's in power. Is that part of the strategy, or has that changed the business strategy going forward in any way?
No, it hasn't changed the strategy. No, honestly, we're very glad that happened as a company. We felt the negativity brought around wasn't good for anything now. And look, there's a lot of people that I know that are the other side of that. So like, as a company, as our company, and we have a lot of diversity in our company, and we were really excited about the change, and we are excited about the change. And obviously, there's an Irishman there, and he actually is really proud about his Irish roots, which I always loved that. Like I never got the idea of, when people say, oh, the Americans are like, they're always saying they're Irish and things like that. I always thought that was amazing, because we're like a tiny little country, and they love the fact that their family came from there, and they're very proud of it. So I love that Biden now is, in fact, like really showing that. Like, he's really showing that.
Very good. And
hopefully I can get him in for a beer sometime. That's what I would really love to do.
Yeah, it'd be good publicity for you anyways.
Yeah,
at the least. I'll finish up on this one, Oran, and I really appreciate your time. The growth plan going forward, what's the strategy? Is there any new locations opening up, or what's the plan going forward for the group?
Well, we never say no to a location. We're very if the right thing comes up, we've always looked at it. And I would say the next thing that we plan to do is the beast of an Irish bar that we want to do, like the number one in America Irish bar, like the famous one. To be. That's me and the main guy here, Willie McCarthy from Dublin. That's me and his dream. Like we really want that to happen, and that would be where I would imagine we're going next. Now that might not happen. That might not work either. Like, that's the other side of it. That might not work. So we are now, at the minute, we are going to get back together as a group, get ourselves really strong again, get all our concepts really strong again, make sure everyone's happy in our concepts, and then we'll look to that. But I wouldn't say that. That'll be 2 years, man, before we are real comfortable again, before this COVID thing kind of moves aside maybe, and we can get back to where we were basically pre-COVID.
Very good. Yeah, no, that's. I think that's what the strategy a lot of people that I talk to are taking, which is kind of 2021. It's about exactly what you're saying there, holding tight and nailing what you're doing, and then going forward beyond that.
There's a lot of there'll be a lot of issues arise when people try to reopen now. Again, that's the other side of it. Like people are surviving now, but see, when they actually go to reopen, everything kicks in again. Like, all your bills from your vendors, all that stuff has to be all sorted out. So I can see there being issues after COVID for maybe a year, where people are trying to really find their feet, and is that going to work for them? Like, are they going to be able to survive doing that? So when COVID is over, I think there's a year where people need to like really knuckle down there and get things right again for themselves. And I hope they do. Like, it's devastating seeing people closing, like all over the world. Like, I see people's friends, bars and restaurants closing in Ireland and different things. So it's horrible. Now we've been blessed. Now we've been able to keep it together right now.
Nice one, Oran. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thanks a million for taking the time.
Good man.
Nice
and well done on all this year, man. I wish you every success with it.
Thanks so much, Oran. Lovely. And I hope to get over to Boston.
If it doesn't work, I have a couple of kitchens for you, man. We'll get you back into that.
All right, lovely. Nice one, Oran. Thanks a million.
Cheers, man.
Thanks for watching the Business of Restaurants podcast with me, Evan O'Callaghan. For new episodes every single week, subscribe below.